There is a story we often tell ourselves about change. We imagine it as a dramatic, seismic event, a tidal wave that reshapes the shoreline of our lives in a single, forceful crash. We wait for the lightning bolt of clarity, for the perfect alignment of circumstances, for a sign that cannot be ignored. We believe that a different life requires a different world to appear around us first. But what if that isn't how it works? What if the most powerful currents of change are not vast and external, but small, quiet, and entirely internal? What if the pivot point between the life you have and the life you want is not a grand, sweeping gesture, but a single, deliberate thought? The terrifying and beautiful truth is this: you are always, at any given moment, one decision away from a different life. This isn't about recklessness. It isn't about abandoning all responsibility in a single, fiery moment. The decision I speak of is often so quiet it is almost a whisper. It is not the decision to arrive, but the decision to begin. It is the decision to turn left instead of right, to say yes to the invitation you would usually decline out of shyness. To say no to the obligation that drains your spirit, to write the first sentence of a story not knowing if there will ever be a second, to enroll in the class, to book the ticket, to finally have the conversation you have been avoiding for years. These decisions seem small, isolated. In the moment, they feel like choosing what to have for breakfast, but they are not isolated. They are the first domino. That single yes can lead to a conversation that introduces you to the person who changes your career. That whispered no can create the boundary that protects your creative energy for the project that becomes your life's work. That first sentence, however clumsy, is the physical proof that you are no longer just a person who dreams of writing, but a person who writes. We underestimate these moments because we cannot see the branching pathways they create. We stand at the fork in the road and see only two similar-looking trails, failing to comprehend that they lead to entirely different continents. We choose the familiar path not because it is better, but because it is known. Its destination is certain, even if that destination is a quiet discontent. The other path is shrouded in mist. It requires faith. And so we stay, believing a different life requires a map we do not yet possess, but the map is drawn by walking. The decision itself is the first step onto the blank page. It is an act of faith in a future you cannot yet see, trusting that the path will reveal itself as you move forward. The life you are living today is the sum total of all the small decisions you made yesterday, and the day before, and the year before that. It is an architecture built from countless, seemingly insignificant choices. And the life you will have tomorrow is being designed in this very moment by the choices you are making right now. So, what is that one decision for you? It is likely not a shout, but a whisper. It is the quiet voice suggesting you reach out, begin, let go, or commit. It is the small, brave choice that feels both terrifying and deeply, profoundly right. You do not need to overhaul your entire existence in a day. You simply need to listen for that whisper and find the courage to answer it. Just once make that one decision, the first domino will fall, and a different life, the one you have been waiting for, will have already begun. We often live with a quiet, persistent sense that our true life exists somewhere in the future. We see it as a destination on the horizon, a place we will reach once the conditions are perfect. Once we have more confidence, more money, more time, or a clearer sign from the universe. This mindset places the agency for change outside of ourselves. It makes us passengers in our own story, waiting for the scenery to change on its own. We believe a different life requires a different set of circumstances to magically appear before we can begin to walk a new path. This belief is both comforting and paralyzing. It relieves us of immediate responsibility, but also of our power. The radical and transformative truth is that the most powerful catalyst for change is not an external event, but an internal shift. The pivot point between the life you have and the life you want is not a lottery win, a sudden discovery, or a dramatic rescue. It is a single, deliberate decision made in the quiet of your own mind. This decision is the fulcrum on which a life can turn. It is the moment you stop waiting for the world to grant you permission and instead grant it to yourself. This decision is often not loud or dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It is a whisper, a subtle internal reorientation that happens beneath the surface of your daily routines. It is the decision to stop identifying as a victim of your circumstances and to start seeing yourself as the author of your story. It is the decision to believe that you are worthy of the life you imagine, not someday, but now. This internal shift is the prerequisite for every external change that follows. Without it, even the most fortunate external events will not lead to lasting fulfillment because the internal landscape, the soil in which your life grows, remains unchanged. This concept is terrifying because it places the weight of our destiny squarely in our own hands. It is far easier to blame our circumstances, our upbringing, or our bad luck than it is to acknowledge that we hold the key to our own cage. To accept that you are one decision away from a different life is to accept a profound and unending responsibility for your own existence. There is no one left to blame, but there is also no one who can stop you. Yet, this same concept is the source of our ultimate liberation. If our fate is sealed by external forces, we are merely actors reading from a script we did not write. But if our future is shaped by our choices, then we are the playwrights. This decision, this pivot, is the first edit to the script. It is the moment you write a new character into the narrative, the version of you who is brave enough, smart enough, and determined enough to live the life you desire. This pivotal decision is not about having all the answers. In fact, it requires embracing the unknown. You are deciding to step from the solid ground of the familiar onto the path of possibility without a guaranteed map. This decision is an act of faith, not blind faith, but faith in your own resilience, your own capacity to learn, and your own ability to navigate the challenges that will inevitably arise. It is faith that the path will reveal itself as you walk it. The nature of this decision means that you do not have to wait for a Monday, a new year, or a planetary alignment. The opportunity for this pivot exists in every moment. While you are reading these words, while you are commuting to work, while you are washing the dishes, the potential for that internal shift is present. The power to choose a new direction is always accessible because it resides entirely within you. It is the one thing that can never be taken away. Therefore, the question is not when you will be ready to make this decision, but if you are willing to grant yourself the authority to make it. Are you willing to stop waiting for the world to change and instead change your mind? Are you willing to silence the voice that says someday and listen to the whisper that says now? That single internal decision is the genesis of every great journey. It is the moment you stop being a passenger and take the wheel. The destination on the horizon hasn't moved, but you have finally decided to start driving toward it. We often fall into the trap of believing that for a life to truly change, the shift must be monumental. We imagine it requires a grand, sweeping gesture, quitting a job in a blaze of glory, moving across the world, making a dramatic public declaration. We hold ourselves to this standard of cinematic transformation, and when our reality doesn't match this vision, we assume no real change has occurred. We dismiss the small, quiet choices as insignificant, mere drops in the ocean of our existence. This perspective fundamentally misunderstands the physics of human life. A different life is not built like a skyscraper, erected in a sudden, dramatic ascent. It is built like a coral reef through the slow, steady, cumulative accretion of countless tiny organisms. Each small, deliberate choice is one of those organisms. A single one seems fragile, almost invisible. But compounded over time, they create an entire ecosystem, a foundation that can withstand the ocean's currents and support a breathtaking diversity of life. The power of these small acts lies in their ability to bypass the resistance of our own psyche. Our minds, wired for efficiency and fear, will violently rebel against a massive, sudden overhaul. The perceived risk is too high, the change too jarring, but a small change, a 5-minute change, the mind barely registers it as a threat. Writing one paragraph feels manageable, where writing a novel feels paralyzing. Going for a 10-minute walk seems easy, where getting in shape feels like an insurmountable mountain. These small acts are Trojan horses for transformation. They sneak past the gates of our fear and inertia, carrying within them the blueprint for a new identity. Each of these small acts is far more than a unit of productivity. It is a vote. Every time you choose the salad over the fast food, you are not just eating a meal, you are casting a vote for your identity as a healthy person. Every time you write that one paragraph, you are casting a vote for your identity as a writer. Every time you save a small amount of money, you are casting a vote for your identity as a financially secure individual. These votes are not tallied on a public scoreboard. Their audience is your own subconscious. With each vote, you are providing your subconscious with tangible, undeniable evidence. You are building a track record of reliability with yourself. The internal narrative slowly shifts from "I wish I could" to "this is what I do." This process transforms the abstract into the tangible. A different life is a vague and intimidating concept, but reading 10 pages today is not. Building a business is overwhelming, but sending one email to a potential mentor is a concrete action you can take right now. By focusing on the small, faithful step, you pull the future into the present. You are no longer working toward a different life. You are living the principles of that life right now, in this very moment. The action itself becomes a microcosm of the change you seek to embody. Furthermore, this approach builds a foundation of resilience that a single, massive effort cannot. If your entire strategy for change is one heroic leap, a single failure can feel catastrophic. It can confirm every doubt you ever had and cause you to abandon the entire endeavor. But if your strategy is built on small, daily steps, a setback is just a missed step. It's a lost vote, not a lost election. The system is built on repetition, not perfection. You can forgive yourself, learn from the stumble, and simply take the next small step the following day. The structure of your new life, built vote by vote, remains intact. Ultimately, the practice of small, faithful steps is the ultimate expression of faith in the process of becoming. It acknowledges that we cannot control the grand outcome, but we can absolutely control our commitment to the daily practice. We may not see the entire coral reef forming beneath the surface, but we can be faithful in depositing our one small, deliberate polyp. The small act is the seed of a new reality. It contains within it, in potential, the entire forest. You don't need to see the forest to plant the seed. You just need to trust the nature of the seed and the power of the soil, which is your own consistent, faithful action. We stand at the crossroads of our lives countless times each day, often without even realizing it. We face a choice between the familiar path and the one less traveled, and we tell ourselves the two are nearly identical, just two variations of the same journey. This is perhaps the most seductive and dangerous illusion we entertain, the belief that our small choices lead to similar destinations. We fail to comprehend that these seemingly identical trails don't just diverge slightly, they lead to entirely different continents of experience. We are constantly navigating unseen branches in the intricate tree of our potential futures. This misunderstanding stems from our linear perception of time and consequence. We see our lives as a single thread being spun forward, when in reality, every moment is a node from which countless possible futures radiate. The decision to skip the gym today feels like a minor blip, a temporary delay on the same fitness journey, but it is not. That single choice strengthens the neural pathway of skipping. It makes it easier to skip tomorrow. It is a vote for an identity that prioritizes immediate comfort over long-term vitality. That path doesn't just lead to being a little less fit. It can lead to a continent of declining health, lower energy, and diminished self-regard. Conversely, the decision to go, even when you don't want to, is a vote for a different identity entirely. It reinforces discipline, builds physical resilience, and strengthens the belief that you are someone who keeps promises to yourself. This path leads to a continent of confidence, capability, and well-being. The branches are not just about action, but about connection and opportunity. The decision to stay home and watch a familiar show is one path. The decision to attend a community lecture, even alone, is a different one. The two evenings might seem similar in the moment, just different ways to spend a few hours, but the latter path places you in a room with new people, new ideas, and new potential. It contains the branch that could lead to a conversation with your future business partner, the spark for a creative project, or a friendship that changes your perspective on life. The path of staying home contains none of these branches. You are literally choosing a different set of possibilities, a different destiny, by choosing how you spend that single evening. This concept is what makes indecision and inaction so costly. When we refuse to choose, when we allow inertia to dictate our path, we are almost always defaulting to the most familiar continent, the one we already inhabit. We are choosing the known, even if the known is a landscape of quiet discontent. The fear of the unknown branch is understandable. It is shrouded in mist. We cannot see where it leads, and our minds, designed for threat assessment, fill the void with potential dangers. But in focusing only on the risk of the new path, we blind ourselves to the guaranteed slow, burn cost of the old one, the cost of stagnation, of regret, of wondering what if. The terrifying and exhilarating truth is that we are cultivating our future self with every micro choice. The person you will be in 5 years is not determined by one grand resolution made today. That person is being constructed by the books you choose to read instead of scroll through social media, by the tone of voice you use with your loved ones after a long day, by the food you put in your body, by the courage you muster to speak up in a meeting or to finally set a boundary. Each of these is a step onto a specific branch leading to a specific version of you. The impatient, distracted choices lead to an anxious and unfulfilled self. The patient, purposeful choices lead to a grounded and content self. They are not the same person, and they do not live on the same continent. Therefore, the practice of conscious living is the practice of becoming a cartographer of these unseen branches. It is to approach the small, seemingly insignificant choices of the day with a new reverence. It is to ask, not does this matter, but which world does this choice create? Which continent does this path lead to? When you understand that your daily choices are not just about managing your time, but about selecting your future, the mundane becomes sacred. The decision to make a phone call instead of send a text, to cook a meal instead of ordering takeout, to go for a walk instead of turning on the television, these are no longer trivialities. They are the subtle, powerful tools you use every day to navigate away from the continent of regret and toward the continent of a life fully and intentionally lived. We stand at the edge of a new path, looking into the mist, shrouded unknown, and we freeze. Our hand reaches for a map that does not exist, and finding none, we retreat to the familiar ground behind us. We tell ourselves we cannot proceed without a guarantee, without a detailed itinerary of the entire journey. We want to see every turn, every rest stop, every potential obstacle before we take a single step. This longing for a pre-drawn map is the dream killer, the silent architect of the unlived life. The most profound truth we must embrace is that the path of transformation cannot be mapped in advance. It can only be revealed to those who are already walking. The map is drawn by walking. This is the fundamental difference between theoretical change and actual change. We can spend years in the preparation phase, researching, planning, visualizing, and believe we are making progress, but this is an illusion. You cannot think your way into a new life from the safety of your old one. The terrain of the soul, the landscape of true potential, cannot be understood from a distance. It must be felt beneath your feet. Its unique challenges and unexpected blessings only reveal themselves to the traveler who is physically, emotionally, and mentally on the path. The first step is not a conclusion of your planning. It is the beginning of your education. This act of stepping forward without a map is not recklessness. It is the highest form of faith. It is not faith in a particular outcome, but faith in your own capacity to navigate, to learn, to adapt, and to endure. It is faith that you will find water when you are thirsty, shelter when you are tired, and a new strength you did not know you possessed when you face a steep incline. This kind of faith is not passive. It is an active engagement with the unknown. It is the decision to trust the navigator, who is you more than you trust the non-existent map. The very act of walking creates the path. Each step provides new information that was unavailable to you while you were standing still. You encounter a stream and learn you can build a bridge. You meet another traveler who offers a piece of advice that changes your direction. You discover a hidden resilience when you walk through a storm. These are not data points you could have gathered in advance. They are the unique, emergent properties of the journey itself. They are the ink with which you draw your map, and they only become available through motion. The person who begins the journey is not the same person who charts its course. The journey itself forges the cartographer. This principle dismantles the myth of ready. We tell ourselves, I will start when I am ready. But you will never be ready for a journey into the unknown. Readiness is a quality that is forged on the path, not a prerequisite for it. You become ready to run a marathon by the cumulative effect of daily runs, not by reading about running. You become ready for a difficult conversation by practicing honesty in smaller moments. You become ready for a larger life by courageously living into it, one uncertain step at a time. The condition of ready is not a gate that stands before the path. It is a quality that emerges within you as you walk. Therefore, the paralysis of indecision is ultimately a failure of imagination. We are trying to imagine the entire journey from start to finish, and the sheer scale of the unknown overwhelms us. The solution is to shrink the frame. Do not ask, how do I get from here to the distant, fog-shrouded mountain? That question requires a map you cannot have. Instead, ask the only question that truly matters. What is the very next step I can see? Perhaps it is just to the large rock 10 feet ahead. That is enough. Take that step from the rock. Your horizon will have shifted. You will see the next visible step. Perhaps a bend in the trail just beyond, and so the map is drawn, step by visible step. Your life is not a puzzle to be solved before you live it. It is an adventure to be undertaken. The clarity you seek will not be found in contemplation alone, but in the dynamic, sometimes messy, interaction between your intentions and the reality of the world. You must move to receive the next piece of the puzzle. Stop waiting for the map to appear. Take the step. The path will unfold before you, but only as a consequence of your forward motion. The courage to begin without all the answers is the very thing that creates them. We often view our lives as a story already written, a narrative shaped by large, fixed elements, our past, our upbringing, our defining moments. We see ourselves as characters moving through a pre-existing plot, our choices merely reactions to a script we did not author. This perspective is comforting in its passivity, but it is a profound abdication of our most fundamental power, the power of the present moment. The life you are living today is not a preordained fate. It is the living, breathing sum total of all the small decisions you made yesterday, and the day before, and the year before that. And the life you will have tomorrow is being actively designed right now by the choices you are making in this very moment. This is not a metaphor. It is the architectural principle of a human life. Every choice, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is a brick laid in the foundation of your future. The decision to hit the snooze button 5 times this morning is a brick. The decision to speak with kindness to a frustrated colleague is a brick. The decision to spend 20 minutes reading instead of scrolling is a brick. The decision to avoid a difficult conversation is a brick. Individually, each one seems to bear little weight, but together they form the unshakable structure of your daily reality. The chronic lateness, the reputation for integrity, the sharp mind, the festering resentment, these are not random traits. They are the direct result of a specific sequence of choices, repeated over time until they hardened into the architecture of your character and your circumstances. This understanding transforms the present from a mere point in time into a place of immense creative power. The you of this moment is the foreman on the construction site of your destiny. You are holding the blueprint, the vision of the person you wish to become, and you are directing the workers who are your own habits and actions. Every time you make a choice, you are instructing a worker to lay a brick. You can either instruct them to lay a brick that aligns with the blueprint of your best self, or you can instruct them to lay a brick that contradicts it, weakening the overall structure. There is no neutral choice. Every action is either building the life you want or reinforcing the life you have. This is why the concept of a single, magical turning point is often misleading. The dramatic moment of quitting a job or moving to a new city is not the creation of a new life. It is the ceremonial opening of a new wing on a building whose foundation has been under construction for years. That foundation was built by all the small, unseen choices. The late nights spent developing a skill, the money saved instead of spent, the conversations that nurtured a relationship, the private decisions to believe in yourself when no one else did. The grand gesture is simply the moment the internal construction becomes visible to the outside world. Therefore, the most powerful question you can ask yourself is not "What is my grand destiny?" That question can feel overwhelming and abstract. The most powerful question is, what am I building right now with this choice? When you are about to react in anger, you are laying a brick of conflict and regret. When you choose to pause and respond with empathy, you are laying a brick of peace and understanding. When you choose to watch another hour of television, you are laying a brick of passive consumption. When you choose to work on your project, you are laying a brick of active creation. You are the architect, and you are never not building. The burden of this truth is the weight of responsibility. There is no one else to blame for the structure you inhabit, but the glory of this truth is the promise of agency. You are not trapped in a building designed by someone else. You have the tools in your hands at this very moment. The next brick is waiting. Your future self is waiting in a home that you are building for them, one conscious, deliberate choice at a time. The life of your dreams is not a distant destination to be reached, but a structure to be erected, and you have been the builder all along.